Wait, that's the wrong register. Sorry. Chapter 3. Penny nickel? Sophia says skeptically. No. Seriously? No. I told him not to, I say. Who's Penny nickel? Alfie holds his fry suspended halfway between the basket and his mouth, forgotten. Do none of you watch the morning announcements? I take the fry from his hand and place it in his mouth. She's that tall girl who used to skip around campus with her boyfriend, Sophia says. Wait, who? Nick says. They weren't going out. That can't be her real name. Who is her boyfriend? Not her boyfriend. Then who was the skipper? Alfie asks, getting frazzled. Remember that beautiful blonde boy who always wore a white fringe vest and no shirt? I say. Oh yeah. How'd he get away with not wearing a shirt at school? Did he bleach his hair? Nick asks. I mean, dress code, right? Alfie says. Dress code doesn't apply to beautiful people, Sophia says. Everyone's just like, hooray! You've deigned to grace us with your magnificence. Well, anyway, Nick says, I guess she's our friend now. Sophia stares. Do we get to meet her first? He eats a fry and glances at his phone. Yeah, I'll text her, see if she can meet us here. Alfie and Sophia raise their eyebrows gleefully at each other. Ooh, you'll text her. Text your new friend because you have her number. New friend, new friend. Alfie picks up the chant, banging his fist on the table. After a minute, I join in too. I'm very susceptible to chanting. You guys are jerks, Nick says as he finishes typing. He's gone a little pink around the ears. Okay, but why? Sophia looks utterly flummoxed. Like, what did you guys do at summer school to make her so interested in us? You mean were we wearing something provocative? Nick says with flat sarcasm. Is that what you mean, Sophia Marie? Nick was wearing his ratty old Tim shirt, I say. So, yes. No, I just mean... She flails vaguely as if to say, You've got me at a loss, friends. When Nick's phone chimes a moment later, he snatches it off the table to read triumphantly, At Wilson's, we'll stop by in a few. Sophia scoffs. Of course she shops at Wilson's. You shop at Wilson's, I point out. I do not shop at Wilson's. One time we all went there together and Alfie spilled milkshake on a vintage suede jumpsuit and blamed it on me. So the salesperson told me in no uncertain terms that I am no longer welcome at that establishment, and perhaps I should consider staying away from all high-end vintage boutiques. I don't make a big thing about it, though, Sophia says. A few minutes later, Penny comes in carrying a large shopping bag. Hey, y'all! She drags a chair over to the end of the booth and beams at each of us in turn while rooting around in the bag. Finally, she pulls out the largest hat I've ever seen and puts it on. What do you think? It's made of dark green crushed velvet with a skull and a stuffed raven stuck to it. Sophia's face falls. Against her better judgment, I think she really likes the hat. It's a lot, Penny says, but I kinda dig it. Thank you, Halo. Looks great with your overalls, Alfie says. He nods at me. I nod back. Sick overalls, burn bud, my nod says. Thanks, Al, she says, as if they're already friends. Alfie does a double take and makes a face like Penny just turned into a slug. He does not care for Al. She doesn't notice his reaction, though. What are you all up to? Apparently initiating a new member of our group, Sophia says. Nick scrunches his nose. I wouldn't call us a group. What would you call us, I ask. A herd, a coven, a murder? Murder, Penny says. As in, of crows? Yeah! I don't mean to get so excited, but not a lot of people care about collective nouns for animals. I mean, not that she cares necessarily. She just knows them. Some. One. Anyway, I think a bunch of puppies should be called a snuggle, but so far nobody from Wildlife Services or the Academy of Languages has answered any of my letters. Nick clears his throat. Actually, I like to think of us as a tribe. Oh, lordy. I forgot about his tribe thing. What does that mean, exactly? Penny says. The short version, please, Alfie says. Nick could go on forever about this, and would if we ever let him. Well, we're already a tribe, he begins, if you want to get technical. We're a community linked by social ties, but in vague terms, I guess for us it would mean we support each other. Watch out for each other. Work together toward common goals, which may or may not include the toppling of capitalistic society. Stuff like that. Penny accordion folds the straw wrapper while she considers the idea. I like that. You do? Alfie says. Yeah. Really? I say, just to make Nick mad. Sure. Nick's eyes narrow. I don't think he's used to anyone taking him seriously when he talks about this stuff. Which, if we're being honest, might be my fault. I like to keep him off balance so he doesn't get a swelled head. Now he never knows if what he's talking about is actually interesting or not. Even though probably about 45% of it is. We can use a different word than tribe if you like, she continues, smiling at me. Like a fellowship or a murder or whatever. Maybe we save toppling capitalism for second semester, but the overall idea is a good one, I think. Like friendship plus. Oh, thanks. Nick's smile is a little too self-satisfied. Sophia settles back in the booth and lifts her chin so she can stare down her nose at Penny. I've seen her mom give that same look a bunch of times, usually while asking Nick not to put his feet on various pieces of furniture in their home. Why are you even talking to us? She says coldly. You were Miss Oak Canyon High last year. What, you're just like dropping everything now, trading in student gov for whatever we are to you? Community service or whatever? Penny smiles pleasantly. Sophia Guerrera? You used to be on the cheer team, right? Sophia squares herself in her seat. Yeah? So? Oh. She takes off her hat and returns it gingerly to the bag. I just thought you'd understand why I'm not really into all that anymore. And she does understand. Sophia spent the past 3 years as a flyer for the cheer team, the one they'd put at the top of the pyramid and tossed way up into the air. But she had a thyroid thing that made her start gaining weight at the end of last year, plus she finally hit puberty, which, okay, so what? She's still an amazing athlete. Like, she could be standing normally 1 second, and then you blink and she's halfway through a backflip. That kind of athlete. So whatever could be the problem. But the minute her cheer skirt left its first pinch mark on her waist, they dropped her from the team. No warning, no apology, nothing. I think that's why she's been going so hard on volunteering and college stuff this summer. We don't talk about it much, even amongst ourselves. It's a pretty sore subject with Soph, understandably, so when Penny mentions it, I sit forward in anticipation of a classic Sofia Guerrera rant. Instead, her lip curls up on one side, and she gets this determined, evilish look in her eye, which, to be honest, scares me more than if she started straight up yelling. Go on, she says. Oh, damn. Alfie holds his arm out. Goosebumps. Nick pushes the basket of fries toward Penny. The air of mystery around her is so intense that even I suspend my suspicion about her motives and lean in to hear what she has to say. Well, I don't know, she says. I've just been feeling lately like a lot of us might be missing the point. Point of what? Of high school? Alfie shades his mouth with one hand and whispers loudly, What is she talking about? The point of high school, Sophia says, is to get into college. Nick grimaces. When you put it like that, it sounds depressing. I see what you mean, Pen. I raise my eyebrows at him to say, So, we've proceeded to nicknames already, hmm? He scowls and shakes his head at me. Yeah, Penny continues, like, we get so wrapped up in these things, these identity things like student government or cheer or marching band or just trying to be popular or whatever, and then if we lose those things, I don't know, it just seems like our priorities might be off. I'm still in marching band, Alfie says defensively. No, you're in sitting band, I say. This is why you don't get involved, Nick says smugly. Penny fixes him with a piercing look. Weren't you the kid who made the zine freshman year? He looks at her like she's a witch. I'm not convinced she isn't. I chime in for him. He absolutely did, and it was the best. The Anarchist Lookbook combined anti-establishment rants with sassy Project Runaway recaps, all printed on blinding neon paper with hand-drawn illustrations. The tagline was Make It Working Class. It's my favorite thing Nick has ever done, including the time he wrote a musical about American inventors and performed it for all of Mrs. Priory's 8th grade history classes. You have not known true happiness until you've heard Nick's haunting falsetto rendition of The Last Lasting Machine. I'd call that trying to be involved, she says with a shrug. Huh. Weird that she remembered the zine from freshman year. I didn't think anyone but the four of us had even read it. I still don't get what you're saying, Soph says. Like, yeah, it sucks I'm not in cheer anymore, but that's life. No, I get that, Penny says eagerly. It's just sort of been rolling around in my brain lately, this idea that for this final year, like, wouldn't it be nice if we could plan out the most perfect, the quintessential senior year for ourselves? Quintessential senior year. The way Sophia says it sounds like a verbal eye roll, but it doesn't slow Penny down. Obviously, with only 5 of us, we won't be able to start our own cheerleading team or anything, but we can still have the quintessential senior year in our own way, just with a few tweaks. A long silence follows this. I don't know what everyone else is thinking, but I feel guilty. I haven't been denied anything. I mean, sure, it sucks real bad to watch my friends' frustration, and I'm mad on their behalf, but it hasn't really affected me. Still, it's probably not a great idea to point that out right now, like, hey, my life is great, suckers! Instead, I ask, what sort of tweaks? Mandatory minimum detention sentences for tardies, Alfie says, emphasizing each word by banging his fist on his palm. I've been saying this for years. Stop, Sophia groans. Well, we should probably start with some basics, Penny says. Like, okay, what's a quintessential high school experience? Before we get into that, can we stop saying quintessential, Sophia says. It's kind of a creepy word. How is that creepy, Alfie asks. It has an unpleasant mouthfeel. You have an unpleasant mouthfeel. I'm going to whisper it in your ear while you sleep, I say. Quintessential. Actually, the more I say the word, the more I'm starting to like it. Makes me feel like I'm in a perfume ad. What about a talent show? Sophia suggests. Penny slaps the table. Thank you, yes! She grabs a napkin from the dispenser and writes down talent show. Oh, okay, I see what you mean, Alfie says. How about field trips? Perfect. Prom, Sophia says. Great. Spring musical. Lunchtime. Slow down. Spirit week. Finals. No, dummy, not the academic parts. Science fair. You are so bad at this. Fire drills. Are you... Okay, I'll write it down. There's no such thing as a bad idea in brainstorming, Penny. I don't know that I fully agree with that. We continue tossing out ideas until the fries are long gone, a sugar packet fortress has been constructed and subsequently demolished, and Penny has filled 4 napkins with more or less ridiculous senior year experiences. I'm considering ordering a milkshake, but I can't think of a flavor that Nick likes enough that he'll finish my leftovers, but not so much that he'll try to steal the whole thing right away. Penny's voice interrupts my thoughts. Did you notice that if you take the first initial of all of our names, you get the word pants? Wow, you're so funny and clever, I could just die, Sophia says flatly. Please do, Nick mutters. I wait for someone to say something sarcastic, but it's so goofy that it feels redundant to make fun of it. Sophia's mind works visibly, but she just shakes her head and smiles. Our motto could be, wear your pants high, she says. That sounds like a clothing ad for stoners. Well, friends, Penny says, arranging her napkins carefully, I think we have a pretty good list here. I have to head out, but we can meet up next time to figure out how to put all this into action. Agreed? Yeah, Nick says. Then I hereby declare this, the first official meeting of Pants High, adjourned. Alfie cheers, then sneezes loudly, a dramatic end to the meeting. When she's gone, we all peer around at each other like a parliament of owls. So, what do you think? Nick asks. I still think you lie. He claps a hand over my mouth. I lick his palm, but instantly regret it. It tastes like yeast. Sophia stretches her arms over her head and lets out a yawn that turns into a laugh. Tracy, seriously, how did you allow this to happen? Yeah, Alfie says. Remember when Sophia was dating Jared and you freaked out because she wanted to bring him to Friendsgiving? This is like that times a million. I do remember that, and it was a travesty. Jared didn't even celebrate Thanksgiving. He was Jehovah's Witness. Plus, he had all these food allergies, so we ended up eating only cranberry sauce, and nobody else got any. That was one time, I say. I'm not that bad. They share an incredulous look and start laughing. A little too loudly for my comfort. Even Nick chuckles, begrudgingly, the way a grumpy old man would. One time you said you wished you had a contagious disease so you'd have an excuse to tell people to stay away from you, he says. You agreed with me, I say. Alfie leans forward. One time, I saw you talking to someone, and when I asked if you guys were friends, you said no right in front of him. Dude looks so sad. Okay, that's not... And how many parties have I invited you to? Sophia says. Last time you told me you didn't want any more friends because your brain only lets you think about 3 people at a time. Now you're all cool with an outsider joining the group? She gives me a look that says, you poor, sad thing. And it's this pitying look that makes up my mind for me. My pulse throbbing loud and hot against my eardrums, I cut off Nick as he's winding up to tell another one. Okay then, let's vote. I adjust myself in the booth, trying to make myself taller. All those in favor of having Penny Nickel join the group? Tribe, Nick whispers. Shut it, I whisper back. Swept up in self-righteous indignation, I raise my hand high in the air. The bell above the door jingles, and I accidentally make eye contact with the old couple that comes in. With my arm up, it must look like I'm waving at them. If they come over here thinking I'm their granddaughter, I'm just going to go with it. With a shrug, Nick raises his hand. Alfie follows, grinning. Sophia studies my face for a long time. She must be okay with what she sees, because she puts her hand up too. All right then, Nick says. Motion passes. I have the vague idea that I should feel satisfied with this outcome, but I don't. As my hand drifts back down to the table, the rest of me seems to sink with it. Oh, crap. Oh, what have I just done? I mean, not that I really believe Penny wants to hang out with us at school, despite what she says. She'll probably wave at us in passing for a few days and then gradually forget our names. Then again, if it turns out she is serious, and she does honestly want to join our group, I might have made a huge mistake.